Hey everyone, welcome. All right, today, so we're still on the recap from Algebra 1A. We're going to factor trinomials with lead coefficient greater than 1, and we're going to look at solving, which means we're going to be diving into the zero product property, which we'll use to solve some quadratics. Essential questions for today: how does the box method work, and what is the zero product property? All right, so if we have a general quadratic, so it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, here's our example, 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. From yesterday, we know first step is if there is a lead coefficient greater than 1, in our case it's 3, does that number divide evenly into all the other terms? And in this case, sadly, it's no. So that means we are going to have to factor using the box method. So I'm going to have a bunch of steps laid out here for you. They're going to be on the left, and then I will show you these steps on the right. So the first one, draw a box or window pane. So it's got a box that's divided into 4 equal pieces. And what's going to go in the top area, so top left and bottom right, are our lead term and our constant. So we're going to have 3x squared go in the top left and the constant go in the bottom right. So you get to load those in straight away. The next step is going to be to take your lead coefficient and your constant and multiply them together. So 3 times minus 10, which gives me minus 30. That minus 30 is now going to be what we need to find factors of that add up to be negative 13, that b term. So we'll do minus 30, factors that add up to minus 13. So we got 1 and minus 30, 2 and minus 15, 3 and minus 10, 4 is not, 5 and minus 6, 6 and minus 5, 10 and minus 3, 15 and minus 2, and 30 and negative 1. If I add them together, I get negative 29, negative 13, negative 7, negative 1, 1, 7, 13, and 29. I'm looking for a minus 13, which is right here. And that means the two factors I need are 2 and negative 15. They come up into the top right and bottom left boxes with an x. So 2x and minus 15x. So now the interior part of our box is completed. We need to fill in the rows and columns that when you multiply them, you get what's inside of each box. So for example, 3x squared is going to be an x times an x, and then 3 times 1. And the placement of those is kind of a little bit of guesswork. I know if I put it up here, I would have to do 3x times something is equal to 2x, and that would be a fraction, which I'm not looking for. I'm looking for whole number answers. So that means I'm going to try the 3x down on the left instead, and 1x up top. So 1x times 3x is 3x squared. And then I ask myself, 3x times blank, so this is the second column, is equal to minus 15x, and that would be minus 5. And then same question, 1x times the second row, blank, is 2x. I'm missing a 2. So my factors are 1x, or x, minus 5, and 3x, and the 2 is positive, so it's going to be a plus 2. And that's my factored form quadratic. Let's take a look at another one. I'll put my steps down here on the left again. So step 1, remember, is draw the box. And then in the top left, fill in the lead coefficient and x squared, and in the bottom right goes the constant. We then multiply the first and last, so 5 times minus 7, we get negative 35. And then we need factors of negative 35 that add up to be 34. That's a positive 34 and a negative 35. So again, one factor positive, one negative. So we would have 1 times negative 35, no. 5 times negative 7, 7 times negative 5, and 35 times negative 1. Add those together, minus 34, minus 2, 2, and 34. We want a positive 34, so I need 35 and minus 1. So I'll put 35x in the top right and minus 1x in the bottom left. Now comes the column and rows to finish it. So 5x, it's 5 times 1. There's no other way to make 5. 35 is divisible by 5, so I'm going to put it on the row. I'll put 1x up top. 5x times blank is 35x, that's 7. And 1x times blank is minus 1x, I need a minus 1. So my factors are x plus 7, or 1x plus 7, and 5x minus 1. That's it. All right, your turn. Here are two trinomials I want you to factor. So write in factored form. They are going to require the box method, so make sure you're giving yourself some space to work. Pause the video, come back when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, so first step, box drawn. And fill in our values. So I got 2x squared and 5. Then 2 times 5 is 10. So that's 2 times 5. And I need factors of 10 that add up to be 11. So 1 times 10, 2 times 5, 1 and 10 is 11, 2 and 5 is 7. I want the 11 one. So my factors I need are 1 and 10. So 1x and 10x. Now it's time for rows and columns. 2x squared is 2 times 1. 10 is divisible by 2, so I'm going to put the 2 up top. And I'm going to put 1x down on the left. 1x times blank is 1x. That must be a 1. And 2x times blank is 10x. That must be a 5. So my factored form is 2x plus 1 times 1x plus 5. For the second one, 3x squared minus 11x plus 6. Same steps. Box first. And we got 3x squared and 6. 3 times 6 is 18. So I need factors of 18 that add up to be minus 11. So that'll be 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Now because I need a negative 11, I actually want the negative factors because I need two negative numbers to make positive 18. So it'll be minus 1 and minus 18, minus 2 and minus 9, minus 3 and minus 6. So you'll notice if I add them together, I get 19, 11, 9, negative 19, negative 11, negative 9. I want a negative 11. So minus 2 and minus 9 are the numbers I need. All right, finish off our rows and columns. 3x squared is 1x times, actually we need the 3 up top, so I'm going to do 1x down here. Let's put 3 up top. So 1x times blank is minus 2x, that'll be minus 2. 3x times blank is minus 9x, that's minus 3. So my factors are 3x minus 2 and 1x minus 3. How'd it go? All right, so next up is the zero product property. And this tells us that if we multiply any two numbers or any three numbers and the answer is 0, that one of those numbers must be 0. So the only way to make 0 by multiplication is to multiply by 0. So if we get a scenario of something like 3x equals 0, well, we know that 3 times x is 0. One of them must be 0. It's not 3, so x must be 0. If we got 5 times x minus 2 equals 0, well, you're multiplying 5 and a parenthesis. Those are your two terms. 5 can't be 0, so therefore x minus 2 must be 0, and x is going to be equal to positive 2, so you'd add 2 to both sides. You might see something like x plus 3 times x minus 4 equals 0. So now two parentheses multiplied by 0, which means either x plus 3 is equal to 0, in which case x is negative 3, or x minus 4 is equal to 0, in which case x is equal to 4. And then final scenario, it'll look just like the previous one, but you might have something like 2x plus 3 and say 5x minus 1. And that's equal to 0. And say maybe like we were able to pull out a greatest common factor first, so there's a 3 out here. So 3 terms multiplied, answer 0. 3 can't be 0, but 2x plus 3 could equal 0. And 5x minus 1 could equal 0. So we'd subtract 3 from both sides. 2x is equal to negative 3. Divide by 2. X equals minus 3 over 2. On the other side, add 1 to both sides. 5x equals 1. Divide by 5, x is equal to 1/5. So we are trying to find values for x this time. All right, take a shot at it. Pause the video, come back and see the solutions. So in the first one, x plus 4 and x minus 6. So if x plus 4 is equal to 0, x is equal to negative 4. If x minus 6 is equal to 0, x is equal to 6. Those are the easy ones. Second one, 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. So we've got 3x plus 4 equals 0. Subtract 4 from both sides. 3x is equal to negative 4. Divide by 3. X is equal to minus 4 over 3. And then the last one, 2x minus 3, x minus 1. The x plus 1 is easy because we can say that's minus 1. The other one we have to solve. So 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. Add 3 to both sides. 2x is equal to 3. Divide by 2. X is equal to 3 over 2. And minus 1. All right, so we're going to string it all together now and solve a quadratic from start to finish using factoring. So when you see a quadratic like this, you are going to factor it first. So this is a standard quadratic where x is, or where the lead coefficient is 1. So we need factors of minus 5 that add up to be 4. So that would be x plus 5 times x minus 1 equals 0. And then the two parentheses must be 0, so x plus 5 equals 0. X must be negative 5. X minus 1 equals 0. X must be 1. So that is what your final answer will look like. You need to go past the factoring. It's only like 3/4 of the way there if you've done the factoring. If the quadratic is not equal to 0 already, it needs to be. So you can't move forward with factoring until it is equal to 0. So what we're going to do is subtract 25 from both sides. And it'll cancel on the right to leave us with 0. So we'll have 2x squared minus 11x minus 21 is equal to 0. And now we need, does 2 divide into those evenly? No, it doesn't. So this is going to be a box method question. So we got 2 times minus 21 is minus 42. And we need factors of minus 42 that add up to be negative 11. So we got 1 and 42, 2 and minus 21, 3 and minus 14. 4 is not, 5 is not, 6 is not, 7 and minus 6. I guess 6 was a factor. 6 and minus 7, 14 and minus 3, 21 minus 2, and 42 minus 1. So add those together, you get negative 41, negative 19, negative 11, 1, negative 1, 11, 19, and 41. We want a negative 11, so I am after this one, which means my two factors are 3 and negative 14. Box drawn. 2x squared. Now it's the equation we made where it's equal to 0 is the one we have to use when we're doing box math. You can't go back up to the original one and use 4. You have to use the minus 21. So minus 21. The other factors we found were 3x and minus 14x. So factors of 2 are going to be 2 and 1. 14 is even, 3 is not, so I'm going to put the 2 up top and 1x on the left. 2x times blank is minus 14x. That's minus 7. And 1x times blank is 3x, that must be 3. So my factors are 2x plus 3 and x minus 7, and this is all still equal to 0. So we just rewrote the quadratic part in its factored form. It's still equal to 0. Then you have to solve it. So now we get to finish it off. So 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. X minus 7 is equal to 0. Subtract 3 from both sides. 2x is equal to minus 3. Divide by 2. X equals minus 3 over 2. And the other one, add 7 to both sides. X is equal to 7. So those are my two answers. All right, one more. We've got 3x squared plus 3x minus 1 equals 5 minus 4x. Same thing, we want it equal to 0. In general, I will try and keep my squared term positive wherever possible. So I don't want particularly like a negative 3x squared, so I don't want to subtract that from both sides. So I'll usually try and bring the other terms over. Even if there's more of them, I'll try and do that. So minus 5, minus 5. If there wasn't a constant term over here, like say this 1 wasn't here, you can't combine it with 3x squared or 3x. You would just assume there's a 0 there and then subtract from it. So just be aware of that. You can only subtract or add like terms. And then we're going to add 4x to both sides as well. So these will cancel on the sides, leaving with 0. I'm going to have 3x squared. 3 plus 4 is 7. And minus 1 minus 5 is minus 6 equals 0. So then I need box method because 3 doesn't divide evenly into 7. So it's going to be 3 times minus 6 is negative 18. I need factors of negative 18 that add up to be 7. So 1 and negative 18, 2 and negative 9, 3 and negative 6, 6 and negative 3, 9 and negative 2, and 18 and negative 1. So minus 17, minus 7, minus 3, 3, 7, 17. I want a positive 7, so this is the one I'm looking for, 9 and negative 2. So I do my box somewhere off to the side. Doesn't have to be the main feature. 3x squared minus 6 go in. Remember, it's the one that you made equal to 0 is the one that goes into the box. And then the two factors we found are 9x and minus 2x. 3x squared is 3 times 1. And 9 is divisible by 3, so I'm going to put 3x on the left. 3x times blank is 9x, that's 3. 1x times blank is minus 2x, that is minus 2. So I've got x plus 3 and 3x minus 2, and it's all still equal to 0. So then x plus 3 is equal to 0, x is equal to negative 3, 3x minus 2 is equal to 0, add 2 to both sides, 3x is equal to 2, divide by 3, x is equal to 2/3. So my two solutions are minus 3 and 2/3. So you may be asked to write the solution, it may be a multiple choice. You just have to make sure you're doing it as accurately as possible. All right, your turn. Do the 3 polynomials, factor them, and then solve for the value of x. First one's already done, well, halfway done. So we would have 5 and 4. We have minus 5, and x would also be equal to minus 4. But pause the video, try and do 2 and 3 on your own. Okay, so second one, it's already equal to 0, so check, we don't have to move anything. It's going to need a box method. So we got 4 times 15, which is 60, and we need factors of 60 that add up to be minus 17. So that's going to be, let's see, 1 and 60, 2 and 30, no. And we're going to need negatives of these because we're doing a positive 60, but we need a negative 17. Minus 3 and minus 10, no. Minus 4 and minus 15, close, but no. Minus 5 and minus 12, there it is. So minus 5, minus 12 will be minus 17. Get my box out. So we got 4x squared in the top, 15 in the bottom, and then minus 5x minus 12x, and 4x squared, we're going to split that into 4x and x. 4x times blank is minus 12, that's minus 3. X times blank is minus 5, that's minus 5. So my factors are going to be x minus 3 times 4x minus 5, which is equal to 0. So that means x is equal to 3, that's the easy one. 4x minus 5 equals 0. I have to add 5 to both sides, so 4x will be equal to 5. Divide by 4, x is 5 over 4. And the last one, I want to keep the x squared positive. It already is on the left-hand side, so I'm going to add 22x and 9 to both sides. So I will get 5x squared plus 33x plus 18 is equal to 0. It's going to need a box method again. 5 times 18 is 90. So I need factors of 90 that add up to be 33. This one's an easier one. 30 times 3 is 33. So get my box out. We got 5x squared. Remember, new number goes in here, so it's 18. And then we've got 30x and 3x. 5 times 1, 1x times 3 is 3x, and 5x times 6 is 30x. So my factors are going to be x plus 6 and 5x plus 3. So the easy one is still equal to 0. Easy one is x is equal to minus 6. The other one, I have to subtract 3 from both sides, so 5x equals minus 3. Divide by 5. X is equal to minus 3/5. Phew. All right, that was a long one. All right, essential questions for today. How does the box method work? So recap on that. We have to multiply the lead coefficient and the constant together. That gives us a new number that we find factors of that are equal to the middle coefficient, so the coefficient of x to the power of 1, or whatever your letter is. Then we sub the lead coefficient and the constant into the box. We find the factors of their product that add up to the middle term, put those into the box, and then try and fill in the columns and rows that allow you to complete that square. Zero product property tells us that if we have any two terms that multiply and the answer is 0, one of those terms must be 0. All right, I've got a worksheet for you tonight. It's got 20 problems on it. You need to do any 10 minimum for the grade. I recommend you do all 20, of course, because it is wonderful practice for our upcoming unit test. I'll see you all soon.